me to prove it, I'm ready to do it, I can't be afraid now. Put me on the stage now, I'm ready to rage now. I feel like an animal stuck in a cage and I'm ready to break out. My time, none of you people can tell me to stop. This time, like the last time, you better get ready to race to the top. I'm ready to do this, show you what the truth is. I step on the field, it's time to get real, I'm feeling so ruthless. My time, none of you people can tell me to stop. Lower the lights down, hand over my crown, hand over my heart. I do this for my town, I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time, none of you people can tell me to stop. Yeah. So what are you afraid of? Those feelings are made of. Get in the game, your moment of fame, show them what you made of. It's time that we stand up, it's time that we man up. For anyone asking who is the best, we putting our hands up. My time, nothing can keep me from reaching the top. This time, like the last time, I'm moving so fast, I'm ready to ride. I'm ready to throw down, it's time for the showdown. I'm ready to rise, don't be surprised, I'll take on the world now. My time, none of you people can tell me to stop. Lower the lights down, hand over my crown, hand over my heart. I do this for my town, I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time, none of you people can tell me to stop. My time, none of you people can tell me to stop. My town, my crown, we know what it takes to be reaching the top. We're reaching the top, we're reaching the top. We know what it takes to be reaching the top. My time, none of you people can tell me to stop. My town, my crown, we know what it takes to be reaching the top. We're reaching the top, we're reaching the top. We know what it takes to be reaching the top. Lower the lights down, hand over my crown, hand over my heart. I do this for my town, I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time, none of you people can tell me to stop. Turning the track up, I'll never go back down. Hand over my heart, I do this for my town, I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time, none of you people can tell me to stop.
our music festival, Mark. Welcome to our music festival, Mark.
Anytime you can have a product that can truly change someone's life, I think that's an incredibly powerful product. I can't tell you how long we put into research and development for this. Most liquid carnitine is around 1,500 milligrams. We have a 2,000 milligram blend of 4 different types of liquid carnitine. We also have GBB, so you're actually going to be burning fat after you consume this product. This is going to make you sweat. This is going to make you not want to stop. You are going to perform like you've never performed before, and I can promise you that.
Live from the virtual Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, welcome sim racing fans to race number 2 of round 1 for the Core Racing Premier Series playoffs. Happy that you all could join us on this beautiful Sunday evening. I'm your host, Joshua Lee, alongside Jordan Hicks. And Jordan, as we take a look at these playoff standings, Chris Hamilton locks himself in with 1 win last week. And now we have 8 other drivers trying to lock themselves into the next round to make sure they are in that top 8 to be able to fight for a championship. Crockett, Covert, Thomas, and Mettler are in a must-win situation right now as Andrews, Smith, Butler, Jones, Foster, Nickerson, and Handwork sit comfortably above that cut line.
You know, definitely, and we're in different cars this week. We're in like an F1 type car at Canadian Tire, so anything can happen here tonight, and I'm very, very excited as we're at, like I said, Canadian Tire, and pretty much like a hometown sort of track here tonight, so curious to see what happens.
And those cars are the Pro Mazdas, which are more similar to the Indy Lights cars. If anybody's familiar with the Indy Lights series, that is the one round down on the totem pole from IndyCar. Which, congratulations to Helio Castroneves winning the Indy 500 today. But back to the Core Racing Premier Series, the wild card standings. 8 drivers took part in the wild card last week, and basically what this is a standings to run alongside with the playoffs. Whoever is at the top of the wild card standings by the end of the next round of the playoffs will be added into the finale to make 5 drivers competing for a championship in the fan voted finale race. And David Castelli right now, Jordan, with a comfortable lead over Derek Sherman by 7 points. But don't count out Derek Sherman, John Crane, Tim Thompson. They're all still there and all still have a great shot, especially if they're more confident on the road course here tonight.
You know, definitely. So they got to keep it up on their A game tonight and, you know, not do anything dumb because things can change in the matter of seconds. So whatever happens, happens, and strategic mindsets are going to be really, really strict here tonight.
About a minute 50 remaining here in qualifying for the Core Racing Premier Series around the Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. We'll grab a look at the 199 of John Crane. Just talked about him being one of those drivers that is on the wild card, looking to join that final round in the season finale. There's the leader currently, David Castelli, sitting in the pit lane. Brandon Mettler looks like he is just finishing a lap here. And he's going to pull it into the pit lane. Unfortunately, not going to be completing that lap. 1 minute left here in qualifying. Looks like a handful of drivers completing laps, but their laps are not counting because if you get an off track here or any sort of contact with anything on the track, the time is disallowed, which obviously is not good for qualifying. You need that time to be allowed to put you up on the board. Kevin Foster in the 8 currently looks like he's on a cool down lap, and he's going to spin it around and one of the corners towards the back half of the racetrack. And he'll get it back turned around and continue on his cooldown here. But 30 seconds left here in qualifying. And right now, familiar faces up at the top of the leaderboard. And we'll grab a look in just a moment at your Racecraft TV starting grid. Expecting some exciting racing here, and it's going to be 2 races in a row that we have road racing here in the Core Racing Premier Series. Next week, we'll be making our way to the virtual Daytona International Speedway in the Daytona prototype cars. So that's going to be an exciting one. Or sorry, the GT3 cars at Daytona. Then we're in the Daytona prototypes at Mount Panorama. But it is time to get going here at the Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, and we'll grab a look at your Racecraft TV starting grid. Taking the pole, it's Nick Nickerson by about 0.7 of a second over Carl Handwerk. Mason Smith, Adam Jones, Alan Slight, and Mark Thomas round out your top 6 on the qualifying standings. Chris Hamilton will sit there in 7th. Tim Thompson in 8th. Kevin Foster and Derek Sherman round out the drivers who put in a qualifying time. Patrick Cooney, Brandon Metler round out your top 12. Jimmy Covert, David Costelli, Paul Butler, Matt Crockett, Brock Varese, and Jeremy Lyon Watkins will round out your top 18, and rounding out your field will be John Crane and Dave Lohr. 20 drivers getting ready to take to the green flag here at the virtual Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, getting ready for all of the exciting action here this afternoon, as the field will get lined up behind the iRacing safety car and go out for their pace lap rolling start here in the Pro Mazdas. We'll grab a look at your Racecraft TV track facts. Here, the Canadian Tire Motorsports Park opened in 1961 in Bowmanville, Ontario, Canada, right around 2.6 miles in length. It is not the longest road course by any means, but still a challenge, especially in these Pro Mazdas. And a challenge as well in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series, who usually heads here on the normal schedule. Of course, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, off of the schedule for the moment, anticipating the return. Grabbing a look at the race analysis now here for round 1, race 2 of the playoffs of the Core Racing Premier Series. 30 laps here in race 2 of round 1, and they will have that one fast repair. The fuel window is going to be right on around 20 laps, so right around with about 10 to go, expect to see the drivers make their way into the pit lane. Also grabbing a look at your weather conditions currently on the track. Clear skies here in Ontario. 74-degree track temp. Relatively cold day here in Canada. And 69 degrees Fahrenheit. Track temp also fairly cool, Jordan. So those tires are going to be gripping up in more than they normally would be on a hotter track temperature as the field works their way into Sector 2 on the pace lap.
You know, definitely, and these cars can turn around so quickly, and even when you're most not even expecting it. So these drivers got to be really careful on what they're doing tonight, as yes, they may get a lot of grip, but they got to be really cautious.
10 turns on this track as the field will make their way into Moss Corner, 5A, 5B, and 5C on the racetrack. Then head down through turns 6, 7, and 8 on the Mario Andretti straightaway, the long back straightaway here at the Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. And get ready to take the green flag after they head through 8, 9, and 10, the S's plus White's Corner, and get started for today's race. 30 laps they'll go racing here today, and the 3 wide salute begins in the Core Racing Premier Series. They do this every single week specifically for all of you fans that tune in here on Racecraft TV. We're glad you're along for the ride with us here tonight as we get ready to go racing. The playoffs heating up, one driver locked in, everybody else looking to lock themselves into the next round with a win here tonight. The 2 car of Nick Nickerson will be set to lead the field to the green flag. And the field will make their way through the S's and back to the front. Straight away, the base car off and away into the safety of pit lane. Time to go racing around the Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. These Pro Mazdas are ready to go 20 deep. Let's go racing from Canada. Already a handful of cars off. Huge damage here. 3 cars involved. Looks like the 51 of Derek Sherman involved. 6 cars involved in this one. A lot of drivers off into the grass already here on turn 1. And it was a large amount of cars. The 8 of Kevin Foster involved. The 15 of Brandon Mettler involved. We'll grab another look at this replay. Just see exactly what happened. We'll go back a little bit more towards the start. It looks like Brandon Mettler was involved in this one, so we'll see exactly what happened from around his perspective. And everybody was fighting for real estate here, and it looked like, Jordan, just multiple cars missing their braking zone, just going straight off into the barrier.
You know, definitely, and there's really nothing you can do once those cars go off into the grass. But you know, it seems to be like they got a little bit unlucky right there, and you can see them already getting a little messy in the back. And here's another view from that, and you can just see the 02 car of Alan Slight going around, and then more contact in the back. So not a great start for what they wanted here tonight, as, you know, that can change for many things.
But up front, it was Carl Handwerk who was able to grab an early lead away from the 2. So he sits out in front to begin the evening. The 2 car of Nick Nickerson now sitting there in second. Handwerk gets loose coming through turn 2B. 1 car off in the background, but Nick Nickerson now going to grab the lead.
A nice little save there for the 18 of Carl Handwerk, as, you know, I'm pretty sure he wasn't expecting that little bit of looseness, I would say, but it seems like they're both too wide with 2 rows, so some nice, good, tight racing up here in the front of the pack.
And you can see still battling up in front. It's the 18 and the 2. They'll come around to take lap number 3 here at the Virtual Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. This entire top 4 running very close together. A little bit of a touch of the grass for the driver in 3rd place, the number 6 machine, as they work their way back into the corners. That was Mason Smith sitting there in 3rd. Mark Thomas sits in 5th. Adam Jones sits at the end of this line in the number 46 in 4th. Top 4 currently running very close together. Throw a blanket over them right now. It's about 6/10 separating the entire top 4 as they roar back into 2A, 2B, and 2C. The 3 most challenging corners on this course as they make their way through the uphill. The 2 car going to make a peek to the inside, and he's going to get there. He almost had Carl Handwerk there. Could not get to him in time. So that's going to move the 2 back into 2nd place as he now trying to catch his way back up to the front. Side by side once again. Handwerk protecting that inside all he possibly can. The 2 going to have to go around the outside if he wants to take the lead. He's not going to get there in time. The 18 now leads the way up at the front of the field. No pressure yet as here comes the 2 around the outside. He will take that lead back. So Handwerk getting pressure from the 2. He was able to get right around him. Now he's going to have to get him back. Remember, both of these drivers, as well as Smith and Jones, are not locked into the playoffs in the next round just yet. Side by side once again. Handwerk going to take a peek. He will be on the inside heading into 2A. Little bit of wheel hop there. He's on the inside, but spitting out is Mason Smith. He goes way off track in the 6 car and into the barrier.
Not at all what the 6 of Mason Smith wanted here tonight. as he was running some really good laps up in the top of the pack. And, you know, anything can change that quickly. And it just seemed like the car got a little bit loose underneath of him, and there was nothing he could do.
Got spun around just at the absolutely worst time. Is now going to lose out on that battle up at the front. But speaking of that battle up at the front, still happening as the 18 of Carl Handwerk still side by side. He will retake the lead away from the 2 as they work back into turn number 2. Still side by side, but the 2 is able to work his way around the bottom of the racetrack as they head back through 3 and back up to 5A, 5B, and 5C. At Moss Corner, such a difficult turn on this track. We've already seen drivers getting caught up in it tonight. Into the corner, the 2 locks it up. He'll go off track. The 18 will retake the lead, and now the 2 going to fall victim to Adam Jones in the 46. Still fighting in the back as Jones now going to grab P2. Nickerson in the 2 car will fall into P3. Absolute disaster right now for the 2 of Nickerson at the front of this field. He'll take back into second place, but now 1.2 seconds the gap between himself and Carl Handwerk. He has a lot of work to do now to catch back up to the race leader.
And you know, Nickerson, as he's a really, really fast leader when it comes to needing to catch up to people, but in front of him, it's Carl Handwerk in the 18, so it's going to be interesting to see how he gets it done here tonight.
Working back into the back half of the course. Through turn 3. Difficult to get the power down through that corner as Adam Jones looks to go side by side with Nickerson in the 2. Jones very loose on that inside line. He'll try and go around the outside as Handwerk is off track. The 18 goes off in 5B. Disaster for another one of your leaders as the 18 goes off.
And that's going to put him all the way down into P4. And Josh, right behind him is Christopher Hamilton. So it's going to be an interesting battle as we're coming to a few turns that can mess people up here.
So now that's going to put Handwerk even further down the order as they work their way back on lap number 6. So he's going to have to do the definition now of a recovery drive because he not only lost 1 position like the 2 did, he lost 3 positions. Now down into P4 as the 2 car of Nickerson now leads the way. Ahead of Jones and ahead of Thomas, your current top 3 out there on the racetrack. And already coming up to a bit of lap traffic up the road. Looks to be one of the cars that got caught up in that first incident. It is David Castelli in the 48. I'll go right on around Castelli and keep it moving on the racetrack. So now the 2 car leads the way by about 6.5 tenths over Adam Jones. Then it's Mark Thomas, Carl Handwerk, and Chris Hamilton. Now rounding out your top 5 on the racetrack. Then you can see the damage number 6 of Mason Smith. He's currently in 6th. Still being able to at least keep up as Christopher Hamilton also with damage to the front end of his number 64. So damage to the number 64 there for P5 as everybody starts to spread out in the field. Jeremy Lyon Watkins battling Kevin Foster up in front of him for P11. They'll roar down the Mario Andretti straightaway. Foster trying to hold on to that spot. About 1 second in between them now. You can see Foster really pulling away from that car behind as your top three remains the same. It's still the two out in front as we work on lap number 8 here tonight. Jordan, we've seen, of course, Nick Nickerson really being that road course ace that we're used to seeing in this series, and he's showing it here tonight that he is that road course ace. You can see he started in first, currently running in first, hasn't lost or gained a single spot tonight. He is running exactly where he started and showing why he won back at Long Beach, or was a threat at least back at Long Beach, and is looking to be a threat here tonight.
You know, definitely, and it looks like he's catching up to some lap traffic, so interesting to see how he's going to work his way through. And he's also gotten a pretty big lead ahead of Adam Jones in the 46. It seems about 2.5 seconds almost of a lead for him, as, you know, it's a complete outstanding gap right there, especially for P2. And you can see the two of Nickerson making his way up the lap traffic, as curious to see how much more he gets into and how he gets through it.
Great drive so far for the two, and he has been so dominant all day long so far. Whenever he fell down from the lead, he was able to get back up and regain it, and as he sits a comfortable 2.8 seconds over Adam Jones. Battle further back, though, between Carl Handwerk and Mark Thomas. Handwerk going to move his way further up the road now into P number 3 on the racetrack. So Handwerk trying to pull off the recovery drive and work his way back up to the lead, but still a 5.7 second gap to the leader out in front. That is no easy feat to be able to pull off, Jordan. 5.7 seconds, and here at the road course, we only have locally enforced cautions. We don't have any full course cautions here tonight, so he's going to have to do that all under green into the pit stop that we're going to see in about 10 laps.
You know, it definitely is. Anything can happen for any of these drivers right now, so these cars can already get under you and completely spin you, but especially when there's no tires. And we got a car completely turned around, Josh. I believe that is Jimmy Covert in the 14. Not too sure, but interesting to see how that car sort of turned around. But it seems like he's all good, as we're going to go to a replay. As you can see, he's going into that corner and a little too fast, and off track he goes. Tries to drift it around the turn, and around he goes.
Unfortunate for Covert as well, having a pretty good day out there on the racetrack, and now going to fall even further down into P12 on the racetrack. Back to your race leader, however, it is the 2 car of Nick Nickerson. Little bit of a battle developing in between the 64 and the 68. Battling for the 6th spot on the racetrack. Butler versus Hamilton, as we'll go on board with Butler here. Ten to go before that pit window is going to open for these Pro Mazdas. Great run so far tonight for Chris Hamilton, and he is the only driver locked into the next round so far, and that is paying him dividends right now, as he's currently running in 6th place, Jordan, still with most of the championship favorites, including Handwerk, including Nickerson, up the road from him.
And, you know, we've definitely seen some good comebacks from him, so interested to see how he's going to do it tonight, if he can get it. And so you can see him right in front of the 68 of Paul Butler, as they both seem to be running some pretty good laps right now. As, you know, from where we are right now, it is a 13-second gap in between these two and Nickerson. So a crazy big gap right there, but interested to see how they catch back up to the top pack.
And catch back up is what they're going to need to do, and we could see some pit road strategy start to work its way in as well. If it comes down to that, we could see that happening out here in this race tonight. Still battling for 6th place is Butler and Hamilton as they work their way through 5A and 5B. One car off in the background. Believe that is the 15 of Brandon Mettler. No, Mettler's in the pit lane. One car was around there. Not exactly sure who it was. We'll hop back up to the battle between Butler and Hamilton further up the road. As we continue to work our way through tonight's race, lap 12 of 30 currently on the racetrack. We're going to go Racecraft TV side by side so you won't miss a moment of the action here tonight. You're tuning into the Core Racing Premier Series live on Racecraft TV.
We needed more. More from our bodies.
More from our minds.
So we went on a mission.
To study the top level of performance across every competitive playing field.
To find what fuels the highest level of athletes, businessmen, and gamers.
Through intense trials across every competitive landscape, we found that there were 5 undeniable principles that help your body operate at the highest level of peak performance all the time.
Focus. The ability to visualize and execute with precision. Focus is the single most important component when it comes to performance.
We combined multiple choline sources, including alpha GPC, choline bitartrate, along with L-tyrosine to help boost mental performance.
Recovery.
We need to take you from 5% to 100% as fast as possible. Bounce back with nourishing BCAAs.
For body and mind. Energy.
Fuel to get the job done. Answer the bell with confidence that you'll be able to attack energy and intensity.
We mix a blend of instant and sustained release caffeine to light a fire with
300 milligrams of GO.
stamina.
The willpower to see it to the end.
But true stamina is coming back day after month after year. Incorporated L-carnitine to deliver energy on a cellular level. Betaine anhydrous and taurine augmenting those effects.
Hydration. Sports science was built on hydration, and it's no secret why.
That's why we added a blend of electrolytes to help sustain performance. We tried all of the other energy drinks. They may help you stay awake, but not much else. We combined all 5 pillars of performance into one single form.
Focus.
Recovery.
Energy,
Stamina.
and hydration. We call it Refresh Technology.
And it delivers more.
Welcome back to the virtual Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, working lap 15 of 30, this time by as the 2 of Nick Nickerson makes his way across the line. We are officially halfway done with tonight's race, and the 2 of Nick Nickerson currently leads the way. A bit of pit stops happening there, expecting them to be slightly scheduled pit stops, drivers going for undercuts, but a bit too far back from your leader to have any effect on a possible battle for the lead. Entire field pretty spaced out at the moment. Your leader currently the 2 of Nick Nickerson in a league of his own, 2.7 seconds ahead of anybody behind him as he continues to work out here on the racetrack. Next car back is Adam Jones. There you can see him in the 46, and that gap to your leader, roughly about 2.9 seconds and growing as they work their way down the Mario Andretti straightaway. Adam Jones running a pretty good race, and in the pit lane, here comes the 2 car. This is the first scheduled pit stop of your main leaders out here on the track. How fast will this pit stop be? How efficiently will he be able to get out of the pit lane? About 13 seconds now. Normal pit stop time for the Pro Mazdas. He got into the pit lane pretty quickly, and it'll be out pretty quickly. A 20.4 on the pit stop time and a 38.2 on the pit lane time. So out and away goes your leader, the 2 of Nick Nickerson, or should I say former leader, now down in P6. Christopher Hamilton has also made his pit stop, now waiting on your new leader out in front, Adam Jones, to work his way into the pit lane for his scheduled pit stop of the night. Matt Crockett is into the pit lane. Or out of the pit lane, I should say. He'll be exiting in P10. Battle for second place is Mason Smith. You can see the damage to that number 6 machine. He has not pitted yet. Mark Thomas was able to overtake him. Now Thomas working his way into the pit lane. Carl Handwerk working his way, or trying to, around Paul Butler. Battle for third, about 3/10 separating these two as they work their way through the middle sector of this racetrack. Down to the inside goes Butler. And he'll take that lead. He'll take the spot. P4 now on the racetrack. Great move for Handwerk on Paul Butler. That'll move him up into third. Now looking at the time spent in the pit lane, roughly about 38 seconds seems to be the average is the 2 cars pit lane time. A couple drivers have had a little bit faster, a couple drivers a little bit slower, but looks like around 36 seconds some odd is the pit lane time. So that means that Handwerk would be losing a significant amount of spots. He'd be dropping down to about P7 on the racetrack when he comes into the pit lane. But Adam Jones still out in front, and he is in the pit lane, so that'll put Mason Smith up into the lead. And Jordan, you can see that damage on the back end of his car. Still out here running now in the lead for the meantime. It doesn't seem like that 6 is phased at all by that rear wing damage.
You know, definitely. I'm really surprised it hasn't affected anything like aerodynamic on the car. And so he's running a pretty fast race right now, but he's got the 18 of Carl Handwerk right behind him with about a 4.5 second gap right there. And so he's going to have to keep it up, but he's running some solid laps right now. Car seems perfectly fine. It just depends on how long it'll hold up.
And there you can see that gap, about 4.5 seconds in between the top 2 drivers in the battle for first. And there you can see your entire top 3 and where they're running on the racetrack and the gaps in between them to your leader. You can see about 5.6 seconds separating your entire top 3. Coming to 11 to go this time by. Lap counter is working its way down. Here comes the 6 in for his scheduled pit stop. And notably a fast repair. Each driver does have one fast repair they are available to use. And Jordan, I think the interesting thing about this is because the 6 has been running so cleanly without the fast repair, I think we can assume he's going to run pretty good with a completely fixed number 6 machine.
You know, definitely. And from when that happened, he seemed like he was running some pretty good laps way before he got all that damage. So I'm interested to see how this car is going to handle now, because he may have gotten used to that damage being there and how that car would react. And so anything could be different right now, as the car would be about 100% good as he comes out of pit lane about 22.6 seconds. Not too bad of a pit stop. So I'm interested to see how well he's going to progress throughout the rest of the race.
And he comes out in P6 as well, which is a great spot on the racetrack for Mason Smith. He is sandwiched about 4th place once the pit stops conclude, assuming Handwerk and Butler have a normal pit stop in terms of time spent in the pit lane. Coming across the line this time for 10 laps to go. Handwerk going to make his pit stop here in the 18. Will Butler follow suit? No, he doesn't. Butler now going to assume the lead out there on the racetrack in the number 68. We'll go on board for a lap of Canadian Tire Motorsports Park with the number 68 machine. The last of your leaders to make his pit stop is the 68 of Paul Butler. He is into the pit lane. So back out in front once he makes his way across the start-finish line. It will be the 2 of Nick Nickerson to reassume the lead up at the front of the field. And he is looking to put a capitalization on this race. With 9 to go, he sits back in the lead. Next car back is Adam Jones in the 46, and you can see 5.7 seconds right now. Jordan, the 2, even after the pit stop, still in a league of his own, way out in front. It's going to be difficult for anybody to catch him out there on the racetrack.
You know, definitely. And once you got like a big gap, like 5.9 seconds behind of the 2 of Nick Nickerson, with of how consistent of a driver he is, especially wherever we go and whatever he's in. So it's going to be interesting to see how the rest of these drivers, you know, fight for that. And, you know, the 2 of Nickerson, to see how long he can hold that lead up. And that gap is getting bigger and bigger. It's up above 6 seconds right now.
The 2 of Nick Nickerson out in front. Small battle looks like a little bit further back in this field as Kevin Foster goes around Carl Handwerk. Handwerk back into the pit lane. Not sure what for. A 10-second stop for the 18. Could he have possibly gotten damage? We'll grab a replay. We'll go back about 50 seconds and see if we can see any damage to that Carl Handwerk machine. Oh my, the entire front end completely gone. What on earth happened here for Carl Handwerk? The entire front end of the car completely gone. And this was after another pit stop. Let's see where this occurred. I believe this is where... So he made 2 pit stops. So this was his first pit stop. What on earth happened here for Handwerk to bring his entire front end being completely ripped off of his machine? We're about to see. So here he is going into his pit stall. Just fast forwarding a little bit here. Front end goes up. Back out to the racetrack. Did he get loose coming off the pit lane? Yes, he did. Overcorrects and hard into the wall.
That is one thing you do not want to happen, because now Josh Handwerk would have had to go all the way around the track with that damaged front end, and it sucks because that front end was literally destroyed seconds after he came out of the pit lane. So that's putting him into P9, and so that is definitely not what he wanted here tonight, as you know, it all depends on what happens to see how Handwerk can make up his ground.
Because he started in 9th and was up to 2nd at one point, and just an unfortunate day for Handwerk, as he's going to go down into P9, and this is also going to hurt him, Jordan, in the playoffs, because he is not locked into the next round yet. And with this, he's going to be set even further down, as a good bit of playoff drivers are sitting in front of him on the racetrack. They're going to receive more points tonight.
And you know, Handwerk, I would at least think he would be locked into the next round, but you know, seeing him not locked in right now could, you know, it could change everything. And so he's really got to up his game here tonight, and so he can hopefully proceed further on in the playoffs.
6 laps to go now out here at the Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. The 2 cars still leading the way up at the front of your field. Time winding down here in this race. We're glad all of you could join us here on Racecraft TV. Make sure you join us tomorrow night. Core Racing Vintage Cup Series. Their race 2 of round number 1 of their playoffs will be coming up tomorrow night. Make sure to join us 1 week's time for the GT3 cars at the Daytona Road Course. That's expected to be a very exciting race right here on Racecraft TV. Working past the lapped machine of Kevin Foster in the 8. And he will go right on around and keep that lead as we sit now with 6 to go, coming around to 5 laps remaining here from the virtual Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. Little bit of an off track there. He's able to keep the car under him. Thank goodness he does not have to tow it back to the pit lane. And right now, Jordan, a mistake for the 2 is going to be absolutely heartbreaking if one does happen, but it's rare we see a mistake from Nick Nickerson. It seems like he's always consistent, always focused, and always out in front of these fields, making little to no mistakes and walking away with victories every single week.
Definitely. He's probably one of the most consistent racers I've watched this whole entire series, as he seems really, really, really good when it comes to racing in general. So a bright future in him with anything he does with iRacing further on. But, you know, we say this every time, Josh. He's very consistent in whatever he's in and wherever he's at. And you can see this right now as we're winding down on laps. Only a few left to go, but I don't want to jinx him, but hopefully he keeps it nice and clean, and so he can lock himself in. Pretty sure he's already locked into the next round, but, you know, anything can happen.
He'll be locked in with this win. 4 laps to go here at the virtual Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. Only driver locked in right now is Chris Hamilton. We'll give a quick check-in into Chris, and he just hit the wall. Look at that steering. He is completely lost front steering. Something wrong with that front steering at least. He is sideways trying to control that car. Let's find exactly what happened to the 64. Grab an instant replay, and he just got turned around there. It was a good bit of time ago. See what happened here for the 64. Just looked like a simple turnaround for Hamilton. And there it is, coming up 5A. It's up the hill, very difficult. And I'm not sure if he had steering damage before that, or if the steering damage was caused by maybe the car bottoming out going up the hill. But either way, that car basically crab walking. No, the damage that caused that came earlier on. Was it from something coming down the front straightaway? I'm not entirely sure. But either way, the 64 of Christopher Hamilton with a decent bit of damage to that front end. I believe he just came in. He did not. He's still out there on the racetrack. But he was crab steering there for a moment, wondering if maybe he had some possible hardware issues or something along those lines. He did come in to grab the fast repair, so he is good to go on the racetrack. But the two still leading the way out in front. Absolutely dominant day for the two of Nick Nickerson as he keeps the lead and has to slow down for the 001 in front of him of Patrick Cooney. Just getting slowed down there on the racetrack was the number 001. Back out on the racetrack for him. And he'll keep it going straight and forward. And the two continuing to put a gap over his rivals behind in the top three. 10.2 seconds now. The gap in between first and second place. Closest battle on the racetrack is right here between the 8 and the 10. Foster versus Crockett. Kevin Foster trying to close in about 2/10 on Crockett up in front. They work their way through turn 3 and 4. Very important part of this racetrack. Important to get right as well is this turn 5 complex. 5A, 5B, and 5C. A little bit loose is both of the cars. Tight apex going through 5B. Lapped cars slow down on the inside. Now drag racing down the Mario Andretti straightaway. Foster trying to use as much of that slipstream as he can. To the outside goes the 10. Inside 8, and a great move from Kevin Foster to take that spot away. But up in front, the 2 of Nick Nickerson with an insane lead out in the front. Takes the white flag. 1 lap to go here from the virtual Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. An 11.6 second lead right now up at the front. An absolutely insane gap number. Will work his way through 5A, 5B, and C. Oh, and he gets a little bit loose. He's able to save it. But the 2 almost just completely lost it going through turns 5A and B. That has been the trouble spot all night. I believe the 2 made 1 mistake there all night, and that is the only mistake he has made since the drop of the green flag. And as he works his way through the S's for the final time, and back to the front straightaway, a dominating night for the 2. The checkered flag waves, and it's Nick Nickerson locking himself into round 2 of the playoffs. A absolute great day for that 2 machine to walk away with the win. He drifts it through the corner. And more drivers starting to work their way across the start-finish line. Foster and Crockett, their battle ends. Dave Lohr still a long way home for him as he works around the racetrack. He's currently scored in P10. Mason Smith crossing the line. That damaged 6 car in the beginning. He grabbed his fast repair and rallied back for a 3rd place finish. A great day for the 6. Mark Thomas coming across the line in the 50 to finish his race here tonight. Paul Butler, Christopher Hamilton, the only driver locked in heading into this race. Not anymore as the 2 grabs the win to lock himself in. Across the line comes the 64. Tim Thompson, one of the wild card drivers, coming across the line. And that is everybody across the line and finished here from the virtual Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. Before we head into our post-race show, we'll grab a look at your full finishing results here from tonight's race. A great one here from the Canadian Tire Motorsports Park in the Pro Mazdas. It's Nick Nickerson grabbing a great win up at the front. Adam Jones in second place. Mason Smith, Mark Thomas, and Paul Butler, your top 5. Christopher Hamilton, Kevin Foster, Matt Crockett, Carl Handwerk, and Dave Lohr rounding out your top 10. Derek Sherman, Jimmy Covert, Tim Thompson, John Crane, Alan Slight, your top 15. And then Brandon Mettler, Patrick Cooney, Jeremy Lyon Watkins, Brock Varese, and David Castelli. An unfortunate early end to his race on lap 5 rounds out your field in P20. Well, a great day here from the virtual Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, and we enter the post-race show. We'll grab an interview with your race winner, Nick Nickerson. Waiting for him to pop into our waiting room here at Racecraft TV. But Jordan, a great day for the two, and there he is in the broadcast waiting room. We'll drag him in now. An interview with your race winner here tonight, the two of Nick Nickerson. Nick, congratulations on your win tonight. First of all, how does it feel to be now locked into the playoffs?
It feels pretty dang good. I don't have to worry about the next couple races. So you got that going for me.
And of course, this track's so challenging when we entered in. You're known as a bit of a road course ace. How did it feel to really show your stuff here tonight and use that road course knowledge to your advantage to be able to walk away a winner and lock yourself in?
Yeah, man, it was definitely a lot of fun. I always enjoy these type of cars and these tracks, but the setup was uber tight on every single corner, so it was very difficult to get around some of these corners, especially when the tires start getting a little older. I can only feel even worse for some of these other guys out here, but all in all, I thought it was a ton of fun. Hopefully it was a good show. And
it's another track that we're heading to next week. It's a road course. We're going to Daytona with the GT3 cars. Do you think you can go back-to-back, and then do you think you can go 3 in a row? Because right after that, to start the next round, we had the Daytona prototypes at Mount Panorama.
Definitely Daytona road course is probably have the most laps of any track in Daytona road course because of the Daytona 24-hour races, so I feel pretty confident about that one. And Mount Panorama is another one of those tracks I love, so I think I got something in the Riley as well. But we'll have to see.
Well, thank you for joining us here in the broadcast booth. Nick, anybody else you would like to thank here on Racecraft TV?
Man, just Carl and everybody that participates in this league, man. It's a ton of fun, and I appreciate you guys putting on the broadcast.
Thank you so much. That is your race winner, the two of Nick Nickerson, ending off a great day here from the Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. That will conclude our coverage of the Core Racing Premier Series here on Racecraft TV. Make sure you tune in 1 week's time when we go racing with GT3 cars at the Daytona road course for the final race of round number 1 of the playoffs. Nick Nickerson and Chris Hamilton are now the two locked in. Tune in next week to see the final 8 will be getting locked into the next round.